My mother threw a fit when I didn't invite her on my honeymoon, screaming, "I brought you into this world. You owe me everything." Days later, she showed up at the resort, smiling sweetly, surprise. I booked the room next door. Furious, I called security. She sneered, "You wouldn't dare." I smirked, "Watch me." Seconds later, she was dragged away, screaming. I never imagined that planning my honeymoon would ignite such a storm within my family. After a beautiful wedding in Charleston, South Carolina, my husband Alex and I were eager to embark on a romantic getaway to Maui, Hawaii. We envisioned a week of sun-soaked beaches, intimate dinners, and the blissful solitude that newlyweds cherish. Little did I know, my mother, Margaret, had other plans that would challenge the very foundation of our relationship. 2 days before our departure, as I was finalizing our travel arrangements, my phone buzzed with an incoming call from my mother. Her tone was unusually curt. "I was just wondering what time we should be at the airport on Friday," she inquired. Perplexed, I responded, "Alex and I are leaving at 10 a.m. "Perfect, I'll be ready by 8. A wave of confusion washed over me. "Mom, what do you mean?" "For our trip to Maui, of course." My heart sank. "Mom, this is our honeymoon. It's just for Alex and me." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, her voice, laced with hurt and anger, pierced through. "I brought you into this world. You owe me everything. After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me." I tried to explain that honeymoons are traditionally for the couple to spend alone, to bond and celebrate their new life together. But she was inconsolable. "I can't believe you're excluding me from such an important event." The conversation ended abruptly, leaving me with a heavy heart and a cloud of anxiety looming over our impending trip. An unwelcome surprise despite the unsettling exchange, Alex and I proceeded with our plans, hoping that some distance would ease the tension. Maui welcomed us with its breathtaking landscapes and serene beaches. For the first 2 days, we reveled in the island's beauty, believing that the drama had been left behind. On the third morning, as we lounged by the pool, sipping on tropical drinks, I heard a familiar voice that made my stomach churn. Surprise! I turned to see my mother standing there, a wide smile plastered across her face. She was dressed in vacation attire, sunglasses perched atop her head, and a lei around her neck. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "I couldn't let you have all the fun without me. I booked the room next door." Reddit+1. I felt the color drain from my face. This was a violation of the boundaries I had tried to set. Alex stood beside me, equally stunned. Pulling her aside, I whispered, "Mom, this is inappropriate. This is our honeymoon." She waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. We can have a wonderful family vacation together." YouTube, I felt trapped. The sanctuary of our honeymoon had been invaded, and my mother's blatant disregard for our privacy was infuriating. Taking a stand determined to salvage our trip, I decided to take action. I approached the resort's front desk and explained the situation. The manager, sympathetic to our plight, assured me that they would handle it discreetly. Minutes later, 2 security officers approached my mother as she lounged by the pool. "Ma'am, may we have a word with you?" She looked up, surprised. "Of course." They escorted her to a private area, and I followed closely behind. "Ma'am, we've been informed that your presence here is causing some distress." She turned to me, eyes narrowing. "You wouldn't dare." Meeting her gaze, I replied firmly, "Watch me." The officers proceeded to explain that she would need to leave the premises. She protested vehemently, causing a scene that drew the attention of other guests. Eventually, she was escorted off the property, her protests echoing in the distance. Reflections the remainder of our honeymoon was overshadowed by the incident. While we tried to enjoy the beauty of Maui, the emotional turmoil lingered. I grappled with feelings of guilt, anger, and sadness. My mother's actions had cast a shadow over what should have been one of the happiest times of our lives. Upon returning home, the rift between us remained. Attempts to communicate were met with coldness and resentment. It became clear that our relationship had been fundamentally altered. This experience taught me the importance of setting and enforcing boundaries, even with family. While it's painful to confront such situations, prioritizing one's well-being and the sanctity of personal relationships is paramount. As Alex and I continue our journey together, we remain hopeful that time will heal the wounds and that understanding will prevail. But for now, we focus on building our life together, cherishing the moments of peace and happiness that we create. The silence after we returned from Maui didn't last long. A few days after we got home, I was unpacking our suitcases when a loud knock hit our front door. I opened it to find a man in a button-down shirt and khakis standing on the porch. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't want to be there. "Are you the daughter of Margaret Winters?" he asked. I nodded, hesitant. "Yeah, why?" He handed me a folded paper. "You've been served." I blinked, dumbfounded. "What?" He turned and walked off without another word. I opened the paper. My stomach dropped. My mother was suing me for emotional distress. Apparently, I had humiliated her publicly, damaged her reputation, and intentionally caused her pain. The document listed the resort security incident as harassment and family alienation. Alex came in and found me just standing there, paper in hand, frozen. "What's wrong?" I handed him the notice. He read it twice before speaking. "She's suing you?" I nodded. "I think she actually thinks she's the victim here." That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed every conversation we'd ever had. Every time I had swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. Every time I'd given into her guilt trips. It all came crashing down. Now, she had made it legal. The next few weeks were chaos. Her lawyer called mine. She wanted damages, apologies, a public statement, even demanded that Alex apologize for influencing me against her. I started receiving messages from extended family members, some siding with me, others asking, "Why couldn't you just let her stay a few days?" As if this was all some misunderstanding. As if she hadn't stalked us across the ocean. Then it got worse. I started getting messages from strangers. Anonymous Instagram accounts sent me screenshots of a Facebook post my mother had made. She'd written a long, emotional piece about being betrayed by her only daughter, how she had tried to be part of her child's happiness and was dragged off like a criminal instead. She painted herself as a victim of modern disrespect. And people believed her. The comments were full of sympathy and outrage. Strangers were messaging me hate, calling me selfish, a heartless daughter. Some even said I should be ashamed for treating a loving mother that way. Then came the reporters. Small local outlets started sniffing around. One even showed up at my workplace, asking if I'd give a statement for a feature piece on generational conflict. I couldn't believe it. My personal nightmare had gone public. Alex was furious. He wanted to countersue. But I wasn't sure. I just wanted it all to stop. Then, out of nowhere, my aunt called. My mom's sister, whom we rarely heard from. She sounded out of breath. "I just need you to know," she said, "this isn't the first time your mom's pulled something like this." "What do you mean?" I asked. "She did something similar to your cousin. A few years ago. Different situation, same behavior. Blew up when she wasn't invited to something, then made it about her. She didn't sue, but she threatened to. Went public. Caused a mess. We stopped talking after that. My head was spinning. Why didn't anyone say anything?" She sighed. "Because it's exhausting. She makes you feel crazy. Makes everyone feel crazy." I hung up and sat in silence. Everything was shifting. This wasn't just about a honeymoon. This was about a pattern. One I had ignored for years because I thought it was just how she was. Controlling, dramatic, overbearing. But now it was weaponized. It was personal. And it was escalating. One night, while sitting on the couch staring at the ceiling, Alex said something that shook me. "She won't stop. Not until you either give in or completely cut her off. There's no middle ground." He was right. She didn't want peace. She wanted control. And I had taken that away. Then came the final straw. I got an email from my boss. Apparently, someone had called the office pretending to be a concerned family member, saying I was mentally unstable and involved in a domestic incident on vacation. They even hinted that Alex was abusive. My job was being asked questions. HR was now involved. I knew who it was. No one else would go that far. I sat in the bathroom and cried harder than I had in years. Not because I was scared, but because I finally knew, without a doubt, she didn't care who she hurt, as long as she won. Alex found me and knelt beside me. He didn't say anything, just held me while I broke. The lawsuit was still active. The internet noise was still echoing. My workplace was still tiptoeing around the situation. But something inside me had changed. This was no longer about damage control. It was war. Things started to spiral faster than I thought possible. The lawsuit didn't disappear. In fact, it grew. Her attorney added new claims, loss of companionship, public defamation, and, the one that made me laugh out loud in disbelief, intentional infliction of emotional trauma. Apparently, calling security on your mother for crashing your honeymoon and refusing to leave now qualified as emotional torture. And she wasn't just after an apology anymore, she wanted $75,000. We couldn't believe it. But even more unbelievable? She got a lawyer to take the case. Our lawyer said she was likely banking on a settlement. People don't usually want to go through a drawn-out court process with family. She probably thought we'd throw her some money just to make it stop. But that wasn't even the worst part. A few days later, a former friend from college reached out and said, "Hey, is your mom okay?" I saw her GoFundMe post. I blinked. What GoFundMe? She sent me the link. It was titled, "Help a Heartbroken Mother Fight for Justice." I clicked it. And there she was, smiling in her profile picture, the same one she always used on her church directories. The story beneath was wild. She claimed I'd turned on her overnight, said I'd banished her from my life and my family, and that my new husband was manipulating me and isolating me from everyone who loved me. There were pictures of us together from past holidays, quotes from Bible verses about honoring your parents, and a bold, highlighted line, "I just want my daughter back." This isn't about money, it's about love. She had raised $12,000. People were commenting, donating, sharing. Friends from her church, neighbors, people I hadn't seen since high school. I was painted as some ungrateful monster who abandoned her mother after the wedding. And she was playing it perfectly. I could barely keep food down. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. News outlets had started picking it up now as one of those viral family disputes. A local Charleston paper ran a headline, "Daughter allegedly kicks mother off honeymoon, sparks legal battle." The article included quotes from the GoFundMe and even used that stupid photo of her with me at age 10, eating ice cream at the beach. It made me look heartless. I wanted to scream. Then came the weirdest twist of all. I got a call from a blocked number. I normally wouldn't pick up, but I was waiting to hear back from my HR rep, so I answered. The voice on the other end was shaky. "Is this Anna?" "Yes. My name is Teresa. I think I'm your half-sister." I sat down slowly. "I'm sorry, what?" "My dad, he dated your mom, Margaret, a long time ago. She never told him she was pregnant. But I've been trying to find her for years." Then I saw her GoFundMe. When I looked her up, I found your name. I didn't know what to say. I could barely breathe. She continued. "I don't want anything. I just thought you should know. She's done this before." "What do you mean?" "My dad said she used to lie. About him. About people. Said he was abusive. He wasn't." She cut off everyone who questioned her. She even faked a restraining order against his mom. I couldn't speak. She destroyed a lot of lives, Anna. I didn't expect she'd still be doing it all these years later. That night, I sat in the dark with Alex, just thinking. This wasn't just a pattern. It was who she was. Not just to me, but to others. For decades. But the GoFundMe? The lawsuit? The calls to my job? That was her trying to burn it all down. I didn't want to go to court. But at this point, settling would mean validating everything she was doing. And I knew one thing now, if I gave in just once, she'd never stop. Still, part of me couldn't shake the feeling that something else was coming. That she wasn't done. And I was right. A week later, we got a letter. Not an email. A handwritten, 4-page letter mailed to our house. It wasn't from her. It was from her pastor. He said he was deeply concerned about the spiritual state of my marriage. That Margaret had come to him crying, devastated, unsure what she had done to deserve such cruelty from her only child. That her heart is broken by your pride and your sin. He then suggested we attend counseling with him as the mediator. He even attached a pamphlet. My hands were shaking by the end of it. Not from sadness. From fury. She wasn't just playing the public. She was bringing her church into this now. Painting me as spiritually lost. Unloving. Prideful. I wanted to scream again. But instead, I poured a glass of wine, sat down with Alex, and said, "We fight back." All the way. And that's when we started gathering everything. Every text. Every voicemail. Every message. We even pulled old Facebook posts from the year she blew up at me for not giving her a Mother of the Bride speech. We documented her past behavior. Dug up what we could about other people she'd wronged. I still didn't want to be in this situation. But if she wanted a war, she was going to get one. The court date was approaching, and the closer it got, the more pressure built around me like a kettle about to blow. My mom hadn't backed off. In fact, her campaign intensified. She showed up at my cousin's bridal shower, which she wasn't invited to, and gave a speech. Not about the bride. About me. She told the room, through choked-up theatrics, that I had fallen into darkness, that my husband isolated me, and that she was praying for her child's soul to come back. Someone recorded it. Sent it to me. My cousin was mortified. I was shaking. We were 2 days out from the court date when Alex walked in holding a printout of a new post she'd made. She was now claiming I had manipulated her into signing over part of her retirement account years ago, a completely false accusation. She never signed anything. That was it. I called my lawyer. I wanted everything presented in court. I told her we wouldn't settle. Not even for $1. I was done playing defense. But the confrontation didn't wait for the courtroom. The night before the hearing, I got a text from my uncle, my mom's brother. "Call me," it said. I did. "She's planning something," he said quietly. "I don't know what, but she told my wife she had one more card to play if you didn't settle." The next morning, the courthouse was packed. She brought supporters. From church, from the GoFundMe crowd. They came with her like she was a victim in a movie. Some even glared at me when we walked in. One woman muttered, "Ungrateful brat." It felt surreal. Then the hearing started. Her lawyer opened with this elaborate speech about maternal devotion and betrayal. He painted her as a fragile, well-meaning woman devastated by her daughter's abandonment. I nearly laughed out loud. Then our turn came. My lawyer laid out everything: emails, texts, the sudden trip to Maui, the threats, the social media campaign, the workplace harassment, and that twisted GoFundMe. We had character witnesses. My aunt, the one who'd called me earlier. My cousin. Even the resort manager gave a statement via Zoom. It was brutal. But what happened next? I didn't see it coming. They called my mom to the stand. She walked up, all trembling hands and sniffles, and began crying immediately. But the judge stopped her. He had questions. Questions she wasn't ready for. He asked why, if she was so concerned for me, she hadn't contacted any licensed professionals. Why she told church members about my mental breakdown without documentation. Why she called my job. She stammered. Then the judge asked about the GoFundMe. "Did you inform donors this was part of an active lawsuit?" "No." "Did you return the money when you accused your daughter of theft and emotional harm?" "No." Then he brought up something I hadn't even expected, the letter from her pastor. Alex had submitted it with a note about how inappropriate it was, given we'd never met the man. The judge read a portion aloud. "Your Honor," the judge said, "this isn't a case about grief. This is about control." You could hear a pin drop. Then came the final moment. My mom's lawyer asked if she had anything else to say. And right there, in front of everyone, she cracked. "You turned on me," she hissed. Not cried, hissed. Her tone flipped like a switch. "I gave you everything. Everything. And you repay me with the circus? People in the courtroom stiffened. Even her own supporters looked uneasy. You owe me, she shouted. I raised you alone. I missed years of my life so you could have yours. I should be on your trips. I should be the one. The judge cut her off. Her voice echoed even after she stopped talking. It was quiet for a long time. She was asked to leave the courtroom for disrupting the proceedings. She stormed out, yelling, "This isn't over." But it was. The court ruled in my favor. Case dismissed. No damages. No settlement. And a strong warning to her about defamation. Aftermath hit like a freight train. She didn't speak to me after that. Not a word. Not a text. Nothing. But her silence wasn't peaceful. It was loud. The people who supported her started to quietly disappear. The GoFundMe donations stopped. Some even asked for refunds when they saw the courtroom video, because, yeah, that clip of her yelling, it went viral. Someone posted it with the title, entitled "Mom Melts Down in Court After Daughter Outs Her Lies." The comments were brutal. For once, the internet was on my side. Still, I didn't feel good. I felt drained. I felt like I'd lost something I didn't even realize I was still trying to hold on to. My aunt called me afterward. "I'm sorry," she said. "We should have warned you years ago." Alex didn't say much. He just held me. He didn't have to. He had stood with me through the ugliest version of my life. Months passed. Then one day I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. It was from her. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even acknowledgement. Just 4 words. "You ruined everything." I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and closed it. That day, I made peace with something. I couldn't fix her. I couldn't reason with her. I couldn't love her into being better. But I could stop the cycle. I could live without her chaos, without the guilt, without the fear of disappointing someone who'd made disappointment her weapon. I don't know if we'll ever speak again. And for the first time in my life, I don't need to know. What I do know is this: I chose my peace. And I'd choose it again.